Does it feel like the window for you to catch up and even get ahead always closes on you before you get there? Now, perhaps you missed Google's stock in the early days or Amazon's stock in the early days. You missed investing in ETH when it was 25 cents, and you missed Bitcoin at a dollar. Sometimes it feels like you always miss it. But do you? Let's step back. When Bitcoin was $1, would you have put yourself in position to understand the potential or the value? Do you realize way back then, most everyone dismissed it as a gimmick? So let me ask you straight up. Have you turned yourself into the type of person that can recognize value before everyone else does? Isn't that the real quest we're on? If our guess is to just get, like, if our goal is to just get rich rather than get lucky, we're then trying to learn how to recognize value when most don't. Now, I know, if we are 100% honest with ourselves, we'd rather be lucky than work hard to grow ourselves to become really, really good. Most come into crypto hoping to find that one lucky situation, that one they find before everyone else happens to blast off to the moon and they turn $400 into $5 million, which sounds amazing, which is why so many people fall for so many scams and so many meme coins that never play out because they would rather get lucky than get good so that they can become rich. So, what I would say though is just hoping to get lucky isn't really a game plan, it's just a wish list. Now, what if you could make a game plan to become good at this? Well, you can, and perhaps you even have, but you're now in the part of the game plan that feels terrible right now. Feels horrible because you can't yet see what is really just over the horizon. Now, have you ever run a marathon? As you probably know, marathons are 26.6 miles and is created to celebrate the first person to run it, which they named it after, which also happened to die from it. So this 26.6-mile race is a long distance, torturous run for those who are new. Now, those very experienced, most of the journey is more enjoyable than when you're brand new, but it is still always hard. And like a marathon, the journey to becoming a savage, skilled investor is not easy. And these cycles, like the crypto cycle, isn't easy. It is very painful at times. And when we're newer to this, just like a marathon, it can be crippling at times. You know what? A lot of people sign up for that first marathon and they don't make it. This journey, however, can and will lead us to amazing financially free life that we've dreamed about if we become good at this. So are you on the path to becoming good at this? Well, I think you are. That's why you're here. But we're in the middle of that marathon where the blisters have been showing up and perhaps they showed up 6, 7, 10 miles ago and you're still running on them and it hurts. Well, let me give you a little bit of hope because it feels like this is never going to end. And as I've been talking about the last while, you're seeing more and more crypto influencers realize that's just somebody with a YouTube channel that talks about crypto that isn't necessarily good at this. Like, first question you should ask them is, have they made meaningful money through crypto investment themselves? They have a large YouTube subscriber count. They probably make money from their subscribers, but they're probably also not very good at investing. And yet, because they have a channel, we take their advice. Now, why in the world would you do that just because they have a YouTube channel? What kind of credibility do they have? Are they good at this? Realize that most people who are great at this do not have a YouTube channel. Why? Because if you have a crypto YouTube channel and you're talking about things when they're a good buy, then most people don't want to subscribe to that. They want to chase green candles. Most don't want to learn to become good at this. Most are just looking for that one lucky opportunity. So the way you grow a huge YouTube channel is you talk about the next potentially big thing. This isn't financial advice, but look at this, and you get really good at just hyping people. Now, I started this YouTube channel for a very different reason. I started it in late 2020. I had been investing for about 20 years. I was somewhat newer to crypto with only about 4 years experience, but I could see what was coming on with crypto and it was about to boom. And I knew I wanted a YouTube channel to share the research I was already doing. But number two, if I could get enough audience, become big enough, then I could get more insights and more reach directly into the teams of the projects that I'm interested in. So I could have better research. And so all of you could have better research. So how much does YouTube directly pay me? Almost nothing. Why? Because I specifically create the kind of content that doesn't do well on YouTube, which is covering things when they are massively undervalued and not filling you full of hype, but teaching you the right things to think about. And here's one of the biggest things that I'm thinking about right now. What is this? Well, this is Bitcoin's price versus M2 global growth of money supply, which is what M2 is, the money supply growth year over year. I want you to know something really, really interesting. So this green is M2 growth year over year. And notice as in 2017, early 2018, this green went crazy. Now, Bitcoin's price came up and peaked and fell off. But you know what coincided with this huge green area here that continued to go up for a while? Well, that was the crypto altcoin run. And if you were to correlate altcoins with any other thing, do you know what they correlate better than anything else I've seen? Is this M2 growth year over year. Now, look, it started to ramp up here in July of 2020, which is when we actually had the DeFi run, and it continued to peak out here through March of 2021. You know what that coincided with? Huge altcoin rally in March of 2021. So then it fell off a cliff and it's been mostly down. But as you've noticed, and I've been talking about, quantitative easing at the Federal Reserve has started. And look at this. So this has been building as they decrease their quantitative tightening. You see some growth and interest rates have been coming down. You're starting to see this growth creep up. But what is going to follow this? Well, if the Federal Reserve continues to push quantitative easing and China continues to increase their money supply to try to dig themselves out of their economic crunch, and the U.S. interest rates continue to come down like Trump has sworn he's going to do, that's going to really give us some major growth in M2 money supply, which is going to fuel the altcoin rally that so many people are saying right now is not going to happen. Now, if you've been around for a while, you might remember what 2020 was like. Now, most of you probably came in after that. But in 2020, everyone was saying there was not going to be an altcoin rally, that altcoins were dead, and the ICO phase of 2017 is dead, and that's never going to happen again. And you're right, 2021's altcoin rally didn't happen like it did in 2017. ICOs were mostly gone. But that doesn't mean altcoins didn't do amazing. They did do amazing. And that's where a lot of money was made. I made significant money from that. But I was trading counter to the trend. Everyone was saying altcoins were dead. It wasn't going to happen. They said the metaverse things were never going to make it. They said blockchain gaming was not going to be a thing. And they were wrong. All right. Bill says, nailing it, Jay. Thank you, brother. Do you still think OMI has a shot to go up and to its all-time high at 1.3 cents? I think it has a really strong shot to go up above its previous high at 1.3 cents. Now, how high it gets, maybe double that, maybe triple that. Remember, Cardano, its very first run went to like $1.40, and that came back. And then the next run, it went to about $3.40. So it went to about 2.5 times its previous all-time high. OMI has a lot of correlation to Cardano. And I know people jump in there and say, it's not the same at all. One's a layer one blockchain. The other one's related to digital collectibles. You're right. Those parts are completely different, but both have a very strong community that was very vibrant even during the bear market. In that way, they're very similar. That Cardano had done incredible things in 2017, but then crashed really hard during the bear market, and it came up 200x from its lows. Now, if If OMI comes up to 200x from its bear market lows, that would put it about double current price, maybe 2.5 times the current price. So, I mean, really, are they very dissimilar? We'll see how it plays out. But what I like about OMI is it has a really strong business. The digital collectibles aren't even a worldwide thing that most recognize yet, but I do believe digital collectibles are superior to physical collectibles. And if OMI can just keep making money and survive until digital collectibles becomes the biggest thing in collecting, which I think it will be, then OMI's in first place in the marketplace towards a gigantic industry that most haven't even realized is coming yet. And so this is where being an investor is, being able to see the trend before it happens. Like if somebody had come to you about Bitcoin when it was $1, do you realize that if your mindset isn't right and your skill set isn't right, you wouldn't have recognized that then either, because Bitcoin surely hadn't proved itself. Most people saw it as a scam. If you looked it up online, you'd probably have gotten tons of websites about how Bitcoin's a scam. And yet, well, now we're in 2026 and you can see, okay, Bitcoin is a legitimate thing, but you can't buy it for $1 anymore. So are you in a place, have you developed your skill set so you're able to recognize value when it's there? I don't know. Are you? Like that's what you're hopefully here learning about. That's what I'm passionate about teaching then. Because what I realized and it helped that, I met somebody back in 2004 that was extremely good at investing, but I'm the only one that I know back then that like put myself around him as much as possible because I had this thesis that it's like if you can find people who are way smarter than you, learn to think like they do and copy the kinds of ways they think about things, that you can later have their kind of success too. Well, so if you were in science class in seventh grade and you looked at the really smart kid's paper and you wrote down his answers, well, that was called cheating in science class in seventh grade. But in life, that's just called being smart, is finding what the smartest people are doing and copying the heck out of what they're doing. People do that in business all the time. That's one of the ways you get really good at something earlier than it would normally take you to get good at it, is you just learn to think the way they do by copying the way they think about things. It's just called smart business. Why do you think, I don't know about you, but I feel my mind with some of the great leaders out there and thought leaders like I like Alex Ramosi. I really, really like Anthony or Tony Robbins, and a bunch of other people because they have created themselves to be, in Tony Robbins' case, multi billionaire. Alex Ramosi, I don't know if he's at a billion yet, but like incredible numbers and incredible business people. In crypto, I wish there was more people I could look at. When I was new, Crypto was one of my favorite content creators because he used to cover altcoins and used to cover what he liked about them and why he was investing in these and how he was sorting through all the crap that there was, because there's a ton of crap, a ton of them not worth investing in, a ton of them with like teams that haven't done anything meaningful. They're just bad bets. And there's a few really good ones. And he used to cover that on an almost daily basis. And I loved it when he covered that. And you know what? In 2021, he became a billionaire through utilizing these principles. Now, unfortunately, on his YouTube channel, all he covers is Bitcoin leverage trading now, because the truth is you don't make very much money as a YouTube creator covering undervalued altcoins because your videos just don't trend well. Nobody really is searching for, like, Illuvium right now is, in my opinion, a really amazing deal. If I did a whole bunch of videos right now on why Illuvium is the most amazing deal, number one, the algorithm wouldn't push it out because it hasn't been going massively up. So nobody's searching for Illuvium. Number two, if you look at the recent price action, it's been going down. So even if I did get somebody to watch it, most aren't ready to think right anyway. So it's not like I don't make those videos. I do, but realize those videos don't get tons of traction, which leads to then a huge subscriber base, which then pays me because of the huge YouTube subscriber base. Now, this is why most YouTubers cover crypto, even if they are good at investing. And I'd make the case that 99% of YouTubers that cover crypto aren't very good at investing. But the 1% who are don't usually cover undervalued projects because there's no money directly in it. Now, indirectly in it depends on what your goals are. I cover them because those are the ones that I'm investing and I'm buying, and I tell you what I like about it and why I like about it. Because my hope is to create more audience members who are rich out of this. Now, where do I make money in this whole thing? Well, I make money from my own investments. I have. I mean, 2021 retired me. Essentially, I didn't have to work again a day in my life if I didn't want to. After just one full cycle of investing from 2017, getting devastated and losing money, but then sticking around to learn the lessons and buy during the bear market so that if we had another bull market, I could make those kind of gains. And I'm teaching you how to think the same way too, and to learn from some of the lessons I learned along the way. Booth says savage. I like it. I like to think of us as becoming savage investors. I continue dollar cost average to Finney, Omi, and Devi. I'm enjoying the bumpy crypto journey. It is very bumpy, and a lot of times emotions push people out. Recency bias would suggest, let's just show why most people that even have OMI are getting depressed and they are out of OMI. Why? Because they're here and they're like, oh my gosh, and this isn't even the full chart. This just gives you a snapshot since April 2024. Nothing but declines here. And people are like, oh my gosh, it'll never do well, is what it feels like. Definity. Let me show you what that chart looks like. Oh my gosh, Definity, it feels so scary. And remember, Bitcoin at $1. Do you think probably it felt scary? It was at 25 cents to $4, bouncing around in there. And so if it was $1, that means it had come down from the $4 price, and it felt scary, like it was never going to go up. And so when I ask you, like, would you really bought it at $1? Most wouldn't have. You probably tell yourself, but you have the ability to be looking back and know what the price is now. But back then, you wouldn't have had that. You would have had to take all the information, all the research, look at it, realize that 95% of people were telling you Bitcoin was a scam and that it was a bad idea, and somehow overlooked all the bad negative things they were saying to buy Bitcoin at $1. And would you have done that? Well, I hope so. That's my goal with this channel, is to teach people how to be the kind of person that would have recognized the value in that. So Definity's price, well, it's not at the very lows, but it's not far from it. During the bear market, it went as low as 1/4 of the value that we're at here, even 1/5 of the value we're at here, but it's been significantly above that since way back in 2023. And so, like, it's at recent lows right near them. And so it feels really scary. And you know what? Most people can't do it. They can't buy at these scary numbers because they haven't learned to identify value, and they're hoping to just get lucky. And this doesn't feel like getting lucky to them. This just feels like buying something that's on its way to death. Cool. When I did real estate years ago, and real estate market really started to crash across much of the US and Canada, depending on which market, really started to crash between 2005 to 2007. And it just started to crash, continued to crash, bottoming out in somewhere between 2009 to 2012, depending on which real estate market it was. And you know what? If you tried to talk people into buying real estate back then, they all laughed at you. They thought it was so stupid, and no, real estate just does bad and it's horrible. And specifically in one market that I'm very familiar with, actually two, so Vegas and Phoenix, you could buy a Vegas just off the strip in condo for about 40 grand. Today, that same condo go for about 240 to 300 grand. You could buy a house in Buckeye, Arizona, so one of the suburb outskirts of Phoenix, that had been foreclosed on, that was only 4 or 5 years old. Maybe it needed new carpet, maybe needed a few new appliances in there, and you could buy it for about 50 grand. What does that home go for today? I think between 250 to 350,000. But if you had created a YouTube channel teaching people how to buy real estate at those prices, most people, 95% of them, would have bounced off. 5% of them said, oh, great, I like buying low. They already get the concept of it. In order to make money, you have to buy low. And do you realize that buying low happens in a time when 95% of the people are saying, that's too risky, that's too scary. No, it's probably going to die. It probably is dead and it's never going to survive. Well, that's what it looks and feels like. So that's what the charts look and feel like right now. And this is why most people are going to pass up the opportunity and not buy. Now, they can look at Bitcoin, and because of the recency bias, the fact that Bitcoin bottomed here, some people, you can make the argument to them that Bitcoin is a good buy, although right now they'll be scary. Do you realize it would be 5 times easier to get people to buy here than it is to get them to buy here? And where is the better deal? Well, the better deal is at 89,000 over 130,000. But do you realize it would have been way easier to get people to buy like right at this 126,000 mark than it would be to get them to buy at 90,000? Isn't that funny? Isn't that weird? Well, it is weird, but that's what plays out over and over and over again. All right, so this is live. I just wanted to go live with you guys and help share with you really the good news that like bear markets don't last for forever. This is the number to keep an eye on. M2 money supply growth, and it is going the right direction. Big uptick here, and we're not far away. Look, a lot of 2017's bull run happened when the numbers hit way up here. So yeah, it went really big during COVID, but we're getting to a point that is going to start cascading into altcoins, and it might not be too far away. I know most people are feeling like it's never going to happen. That's always the case. In 2020, like December 2020, it felt like it was never going to happen for the altcoins. Yet it did. There were so many deals December 2020, like incredible deals that over the next 3 months would literally go 100x or 200 or 300 or 400x. Hopefully you get it that you're here to become smart so you don't have to rely on getting lucky, because your chances of getting lucky are so low. Yeah, it'd be nice, but let's go back to that scenario. Say you got lucky and you invested $400 and it turned into $5 million at the top. Do you know that a lot of times people don't sell at the top? So maybe they sell and they get $2 million. What are you going to do then? Like, how far does 2 million really go for you? In some real estate markets, that'll pay for an okay house at $1 million. You've got some taxes you had to pay on the 2 million. And so how much farther ahead are you? Now, what if you learn to become good at analyzing crypto projects, analyzing timing and other things, so that reliably you won more often than you lost? And when you did win, you won bigger than what your losses were, so that you might make $5 million this cycle, but then you could harvest some of those gains. You could reinvest, say, 2.5 million during the bear market, and then you could turn that 2.5 million into, say, 50 million. Isn't that a better strategy for the future? Makes sense to me. I'm sure it makes sense to you as well. Guys, it's been a long marathon. There are times in a marathon where, yeah, the blisters are already out, like they hurt. You've been running on them for 10 miles. Isn't that where we're at now? And it feels like the end will never come. It's coming. Like that crypto spring is coming. It's coming sooner than most people think. You're almost there. If you're brand new at this, well, congratulations. Enjoy the ride. Learn your lessons along the way. Notice, watch what I say and watch what happens. Like, I don't have a magic crystal ball to perfectly predict these things. I wish I had that magic crystal ball so I could have saved all my money and invested everything at the very, very, very bottom. Wasn't able to do that in 2019 or 2020, and yet those worked out really good for me. When 2021 happened, I didn't have a magic crystal ball this bear market either. So I've been dollar cost averaging into these ones that I really like. And we'll see how this year goes. But 2026 is going to be the year that makes so many smart investors rich. I hope you're part of that. Enjoy this wrap. Just recaps what I teach here. If you haven't already, join the Patreon. Now, the Patreon is the gateway to join a private Discord. In our private Discord is a place to surround yourself by people who are thinking right and learning to think right. In that private Discord, there are some really amazing people who also share their insights, which sometimes those insights are different than mine. What I realized back in 2019 and 2020 was that I was missing out on a lot of deals because it was just me who thought like this. So my hope was that if I got the YouTube channel big enough, we could create a community of people who think like this, so that less good deals would be missed, because it wouldn't just be the good deals that I see. Other people would have the chance to make the case for other deals that they like. And I realized I'm not the only smart investor in this space. And I want to create a community where I could attract people who already understood these things and people who are learning to understand these things. And they could bounce ideas off each other. And the private Discord has become exactly that. Hopefully you've been there for a while. Hopefully you've been following the crypto adoption tab, where you get kept up to date on what's going on with the ISO coins and why those are a much bigger deal than most of the world realizes, as well as seeing my picks on YouTube, seeing my discussions in there. All right, guys, enjoy this wrap, and we will see you all soon.
Into the space, chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit, right before you could, was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss, cause I always made the time in mind. I take the one out, cause I'm patient like that, and I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. Principles are simple, to leave in a lot. Why when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, go parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this wrong, cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, let the haters be crafting. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.